that this is important information. Hopefully, that's why you're here, because we live in Oregon, right? But I think it's actually important information as a case study for the larger society, because the ideas that founded Oregon are the same ideas that founded the United States. The United States as a nation was founded as a white homeland, right? And if you go back and read the text from those folks who came and colonized, this is the undergirding of manifest destiny, right? The idea that God gave this land to white folks to make profitable, and that they had the right to do anything necessary to indigenous folks to take that land because they weren't using it properly, right? Including enslave African folks and bring them here to work as chattel slavery. That is the creation of our nation, is the creation of a white homeland. Oregon is reflective of that. So we can look at Oregon as a very useful case study, because the thing about Oregon that is unique, really the only thing about Oregon that is unique, is that they were bold enough to write it down. Right? But these same ideologies, practices, and principles shaped every state in this nation as well as this larger nation. So Oregon is useful because they wrote it down and reaffirmed it again and again. So we don't have to, say, well, this is what I think they were saying, or this is what I feel like that. They were like, no, look, we'll write it down again, just in case you didn't get it the first time. And I think that it's important to recognize that the mechanisms of control that were used in Oregon to control this black population that was free and unwanted are ultimately the same mechanisms that were used to control the larger black population once slavery ended in this country. So Jim Crow slavery, or Jim Crow segregation, was much more advanced in Oregon because folks had been practicing it for, a couple decades before the end of slavery. So in many ways, sadly, Oregon is a precursor and an example for the rest of the country about how to control this black population when slavery is no longer an option. And in fact, this leads to Oregon being called things like the most segregated city north of the Mason-Dixon line. And I think, one really useful example to look at is the example of the Klan. I think that, again, we tell historical inaccuracies about the Klan, that we really simplify this narrative to make ourselves more comfortable. So the way that we talk about the Klan is that the Klan is something that existed up until the 50s and 60s in the rural South. It was predominantly working class, uneducated, rural Southern white men, and by and large, it has died out, right? None of those are true, honestly. So the Ku Klux Klan at its height had a membership of 15% of the eligible population of America, which meant white men. So 15% of white men were card-carrying members of the Ku Klux Klan at its height in the 1920s. So, Amnesty International doesn't have 15% of the population. And the Humane Society, right? We love puppies, we love kitties, they don't have 15%, right? So I think it's incredibly important to recognize what 15% of the population means. And that Oregon had the highest per capita Klan membership in the country. And again, this is at a time where the black population was about 2,500 people, maybe, right? So the question becomes, why would so many folks want to be card-carrying members of the Klan? Again, it is about sending a message about the kind of community folks want to live in by saying, by this membership in the Klan, this is part and parcel of the kind of community I want to live in. I think the other piece about this is that often folks say, okay, well, there were a lot of stupid people in the country. 15% of the, population of white men were stupid, whatever, right? I think it's incredibly important to recognize that the reach of the Klan reached to the highest levels of power, both in Oregon and in the larger nation. So actually, Oregon had a Klan governor. Walter Pierce was a card-carrying member of the Klan.